The end to the gold standard has led to a lower standard of living for America. This is from the Mises Institute. And I'm going to read it via Zero Hedge because it's so freaking stupid. It's so stupid. I just, what is, I don't understand, man. Thankfully, I don't understand. The idea we have a lower standard of living now than when we're under the gold standard is insanely stupid on all levels. The weird thing is what makes me mad about this. Oh, Pop wants to say hello. Come on, baby cakes. Is that the same people and institutions who write about this will also say, or at least the same groups will say, the living standard of the poorest Americans is better right now, is better than the kings of days yonder. Days yonder? And it's true, man. It's true. Which is it? We have a low living standard, our living standard has declined because we got off the gold standard, or our living standard is better than what it used to be. And inherently it's better than what it used to be. All right, let's read this because it just infuriates me. Now people are experiencing the consequence of getting off the gold standard from Nixon. Less purchasing power. Really? Less purchasing power. More economic cycles. Really? Are we really? More? This is from the Mises Institute. There's not more. In a weaker economy. This is so, what is it, man? More economic cycles? And he cites Rothbard here. Let's see here. He cites Rothbard, right. Let's find it. Rothbard, what government has done to our money. If you're going to cite Murray Rothbard and then turn around and say there's more economic cycles now, I don't understand that. Let's see what some of Murray Rothbard's books are, shall we? Start right here. The Panic of 1819. You can read James Grant. Look at James Grant, shall we? Forgotten Depression from 1920 to 1921. Then we have the Great Panic of the 1870s, the 1890s. These are all when we have the gold standard. Never mind the real depression. The whole thing's stupid, man. I have both these. So this is Rothbard, by the way, Murray Rothbard, and we'll just what happened. What appeared to be prosperity from 1813 to 1818 was nothing but a bubble that resulted from inflationary war finance. What happened here with James Grant was nothing but a bubble that happened from inflationary war finance in the World War I, and then we collapsed. But thankfully, we had Silent Cal as president. Anyway, the point being is you can attribute all day long to inflationary numbers of the war machine, 1813 to 1818, the War of 1812. It's always the wars that do this, man. It's crazy because the wars where the government consolidates. It's the wars. Focus on the wars, not the gold standard. All right, let's keep going because it's stupid. All right, we're going to keep reading this here. Oh, so let me find it. The gold standard from 1815 and 1914. The classical gold standard tended to prevent the government from running budget deficits and going into debt. Huh? Your own Rothbard. James Grant. 1870s. 1890s. Ay. Crazy. All right, let's keep reading here. So he talks about the history of this stuff. I just cracks me up. All right, so I just want to kind of go back to here. We got CPI. Again, CPI is silly, but what are we going to use CPI? How it changes over time? Whatever. Anyway, let's keep going. Federal funds rate, okay, but I want to show it this right here. Federal debt for the U.S. Look at this federal debt. Oh, my goodness. However, in 1980, the federal debt was only about $1 trillion, chart 3. Thus, it was possible to significantly raise interest rates without causing major impacts on the economy. Today, the federal debt is above $30 trillion, and he shows it right here. Federal debt. So you're like, he's right, dude. He's right. Look at the debt. Oh, my goodness. So we're going to go and look at this exact chart. We're going to look at this exact chart, and hopefully you guys are going to know what I like to do with these exact charts, because it looks like there's no debt back here. Then look, from Reagan right there, just took off. Then it took off under Obama. And then, So let's take a look here, because this is very misleading. We're going to hit Edit Graph. We're going to go to Format, and we're going to go to Log. I haven't done this, so I might be having an egg on my face. Oh, yeah. Doesn't quite look the same, does it? looks like a pretty gradual continuation of debt. Here's where the let's see, this is where Clinton and the Republicans owned Congress. Clinton was the presidency, not much of spending. Here's a war machine ramping up. Here's a Great Reset or a Great Recession. Here's just basic. I mean, it looks pretty. Look at that, man. This is called log scale. So we're looking at the percentages of increase as opposed to the dollar amounts, because the percentages are all that matters in this regard from previous years. So you can see the percentages, the federal debt hasn't grown significantly relative to what it did last year, the year before. It's just been a steady growth. Now that might, let's see, I think that's max here. Let's see if I can do the max. I think 1966. Yeah. Now you might say, but Josh, look at steady increase. I agree with you, but it's a whole hell of a lot different than this now, isn't it? A whole hell of a lot different than that. Look at that. So let's look at the two. Look at that versus, I mean, that's not, that's based on numbers, on the actual dollars. I'm basing it on percentages right here. Percentages much, much more steady than what this guy is doing. This is what they always do for fear mongering. It drives me up the wall. All right, so anyway, let's see what else he got about here. All right, we talked about the gold price of gold. I mean, whatever, man. I mean, you can, I can't see what this is. 2000. This is right here. I can't tell what number that is. But anyway, basically, the price of gold really ramped it up when Obama took over, because they're going to make Keynesians. Oh, my goodness. I mean, from 1975 to here, the price of gold hasn't done much. It hasn't even kept up with inflation. It just hasn't. So we can argue all day long and say gold, but it's silly. The consequences of the end of the gold standard began to be felt by the 1970s. The devaluation of the U.S. dollar substantially reduced America's real wages. From 1970s onward, it began to change to the point where it's only possible for wealthier people to live on one family to support it, to support the household. That's simply not true, man. I mean, my wife had 8 brothers and sisters in a 3-bedroom, maybe 4-bedroom house in Dale City, Virginia, and probably 400 square foot. You know what I'm saying? And the dad worked, and that was it. They combined a lot of people. They didn't have individual rooms. You know what I'm saying? They had 3 per room. It was kind of I don't want to say a rundown house, but it wasn't upkept very well. So you could say, oh my goodness, it was all suburban California lifestyle where you're working for Lockheed Martin or whatever the high-tech firms were back then. It's just, it wasn't a better standard of living. We have bigger houses now and smaller families. That's just a fact, dudes. It's the idea that we have a worse standard of living now than we did back then is just freaking silly on it. I'm just sorry. It's silly on its face. And I don't know why people keep doing this. I don't understand. Did they not remember? Were they not there? I just don't get it, man. It's all theoretical. I don't know. Why do these people keep perpetuating this? It's just a myth that we had a better standard of living back then than we do now. And if you want to say, well, you know, a husband go to work, the wife could stay at home. If you want to look at Beaver Cleaver time, be my guest. Be my guest. But the facts are that's simply not true, man. We had smaller houses. We didn't have all the amazing technology we have now. We just didn't, dudes. We didn't. I mean, hell's bells. People didn't even have air conditioning. A significant amount of people didn't have running water, indoor plumbing still, even in the 50s. I mean, just stop with this stuff, man. It's crazy. I don't get it. Oh, you must be a Biden supporter. No, I'm just a reality. I like the world I'm living in compared to what it was in the 70s. And you should too. Despite the technological advances, the standard of living is lower today than in the 1950s and 60s. Are you freaking insane? Let me get the dog. We're going to come out here and get old Finnegan. Come here, baby cakes. Finny wants to say hello to everybody. Hi. Oh, good boy. He's sitting down. There, oh, where'd you go? There he goes. There he goes. Finny. Hey, buddy. Hey, you. Just the idea that our standards of what is wrong with these guys? I don't get it. And we quote Peter Schiff, of course. If the U.S. dollar had not been devalued since 1913, or even if it had appreciated, which is what tends to occur when there's no monetary expansion, the standard of living would be much higher today. All right, well, I just. All right, whatever. Weird to me. Don't fall for it, my friends. Look, you can easily go back to the 1950s if you want in terms of get a smaller home. Hey, don't have air conditioning. Hey, I mean, don't eat all the meat we eat now. Because remember, meat was a freaking luxury back then, dudes. You know what I'm saying? Don't have hell's bells. Don't get Amazon shipped to you. I've done this a million times. All right, love to your thoughts. We'll see you